Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lawcast. This time, we're going back to cover the only 40-man Royal Rumble in history. It's Royal Rumble 2011. Kyush, what could have possibly compelled the WWE to think that this was the time to expand the Royal Rumble?
Well, Vince McMahon looked around his roster full of NXT cast-offs and reject non-pushes and mid-carders who never got over, and he said, well, there's a lot of motherfuckers sitting around here. Let's throw them all in one big match so that everyone will fall asleep well before the end, so they won't even care when the guy they don't care about wins.
Now, there's a good 30-man Royal Rumble in here, but dragging it out to 40 guys made it borderline unwatchable.
As we're going to get into with the actual Rumble itself, there's maybe a good 30-man Royal Rumble in here. But even then, at least 10 of the people in this Royal Rumble are going to be garbage no matter how you slice it. There are some very memorable moments in here, including some incredibly memorable, horrifically bad moments in here, and I can't wait to get to all of them.
Yeah. So, before we get into the show and before we get to the But First segment, I have to do a correction on last week. We did a news segment saying they had announced it's a 40-man Royal Rumble this year. A couple people asked me where I found that on Twitter, and I started looking around, and I could not find whatever my original source on that was, and it appears to not be true as far as I can tell. So, thankfully, I don't think we're getting a 40-man and 40-woman Royal Rumble this year, and that's a good thing.
Now, this says two things. Number one, that no matter what Steve says, I always just assume that it's true without checking sources. So that's probably not the healthiest impulse in the world. But also number two, that our fans out there were whip fast in correcting us on that. So thank you for keeping us honest, guys.
Good for you guys. So we'll get into Royal Rumble 2011. But first, we've got some current wrestling news to talk about. Starting it's already time for another Saturday night's main event. This Saturday, the 25th, we've got a stacked card. Gunther versus Jey Uso, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus, Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu, and Rhea versus Nia. Is that a better card than the first one? I think it probably is.
I think this might be a better card than they put on pay-per-view
The Royal Rumble?
Yeah, this fucking card absolutely whips ass. I watched Raw from start to finish for one of the rare times that I've done that recently, and honestly, they did a great job of building to this card. Like, I may not inherently love all of the matches on it, but I can't argue that the fans aren't way into this shit.
No, I believe they had announced Jesse Ventura is going to be back. Maybe he'll host the contract sign-in between Cody and KO. I think that would be a great use of Jesse.
I think they announced that Shawn Michaels was going to be hosting that.
San Antonio. That kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what Jesse's going to do, but like I said, maybe the failure of the previous Saturday Night's Main Event, and I don't want to be mean and call it a failure, but it definitely wasn't what they wanted. So maybe they just put a little extra juice on this. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I wouldn't imagine we're getting any title changes here. Hard to believe Jay's going to beat Gunther here, that Braun's going to lose the title to Sheamus.
It's not unthinkable that Nia could beat Rhea, but I would kind of question, why?
Yeah, I think they got to keep Rhea clean until WrestleMania. I'm sure they've got some big plans for her.
Yeah, the vision of WrestleMania and what it's going to be is
easy for me, isn't it?
It's murky
for you too.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where we're going.
Probably Cody versus Cena, and then Gunther versus Seth.
Could be Gunther Seth, Gunther Punk. They could go Gunther
Drew
Sami.
Versus Seth. You could have Drew get the title off Gunther. Drew versus Seth as a redemption match for Seth from last year would make sense.
I feel like I've said this before in the many, many years we've been doing this podcast, but I genuinely think that this might be the hardest to call WrestleMania or Royal Rumble in recent memory. This thing's gonna be fucking loaded with stars. Yeah. Every single one of their top guys is in this. Are they really not going to have Roman win this shit if he's in it? Because that seems unthinkable.
But which champion is he facing at WrestleMania in that case? Is Punk going to beat Gunther for the world title in between the Rumble and WrestleMania?
It wouldn't surprise me. So, there's a million directions they could go, and it wouldn't surprise me, really.
Story number 2. WWE and TNA announced an official multi-year partnership. This is making official what I think we all know has unofficially been in place for like at least a year at this point, that they're working together.
But the interesting thing about this is that, like, in the past, it was a promotion working together with another promotion. And I think the vibe of this is that that's not really what this is anymore. And it kind of almost feels like TNA is going to be folded under the WWE umbrella a little bit more. And that would make a lot of sense considering basically all of their stars are abruptly leaving. Like,
yeah.
Jordynne Grace just finished up. Josh Alexander left. Like, there's a couple of others. I can't remember everybody. But suddenly, the people who have been the top stars for years in this promotion are leaving en masse.
I mean, what are some crossovers you expect here? It feels like TNA versus NXT invasion might make sense, I think. I don't know. Are there any guys? To me, TNA is perfect for, like, the second excursion. Right. Like, we called you up, it didn't work out, we're going to send you to TNA to reboot, or like, you're a veteran, but we don't really have anything for you for the next couple months, we're just going to send you to TNA, keep getting paid, work with some different people, maybe we'll come up with a new idea for you.
It's so funny that you say that, because in reference to that, does it not seem like maybe Ziggler might not have ever left the payroll?
You wonder.
Yeah, because he never went anywhere else, really. Like, he had, like, a brief stop in Japan.
One appearance in New Japan,
Yeah. It's just kind of weird, right? Like, and now, like, he's the guy I could certainly see, like, leading the charge because fans will recognize him or know who he is. Joe Hendry is somebody that obviously they probably have plans for.
Joe Hendry's on his way to WWE at some point here.
The only reason that I can see, like, Joe Hendry not already being with them is if they do have a plan to keep him there because that's another brand for them almost,
And story number 3, Grand Slam is not going to be a pay-per-view. It's going to be a TNT special. By the way, are you aware of when Grand Slam is taking place?
No.
Saturday, February 15th. Do you know what else is that night?
No.
The dunk contest.
Oh, shit!
So when the hell is this thing? Is this thing going to air after the dunk contest then?
That is a super great. Does the dunk contest not air on TNT this year?
No, I'm 99% sure it's on TNT like it always is.
That's fucking weird. So this went from a stadium show pay-per-view to an arena show, like
special episode of Collision
that might air at like midnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the details on this are still hazy, but like the show is happening on the 15th. Now maybe the time difference with Australia, no, it'll take place in the early hours of Saturday morning, right? So I believe it's airing on tape delay. So yeah, I assume it's just going to be, it's going to be on after the dunk contest, and that's a strong lead in, so I guess I can see that. It's going to be on late night though. Really know what to make of the show at this point. They've not announced very much for it. It's only a couple weeks away now, and, I guess there's not a lot of reason to build much to it since it's just in a regular arena and airing on free TV.
I don't know what the next couple of months of AEW are going to look like in general. I feel like I've never had less of like a tangible, like, feel for like where this company is going, but like especially for that show, like I guess we need to not even consider it like a special thing anymore. Like, what is a special episode of Collision? Like, that's just a battle of the belts to me.
That is actually exactly what this reminds me of, the Battle of the Belt specials, which I believe are no longer with us because there was no reference to those when they signed the new TV deal.
Oh, darn. I guess you'll miss all the exciting matchups that are never announced until the show begins.
I had such high hopes for Battle of the Belts when they announced it. I thought we were getting the new Clash of the Champions.
I know, buddy. In fact, instead what we got was like 1998 Clash of the Champions.
Yeah. All right. Let's turn the clock back to January of 2011. I was thinking about it. We have barely covered 2009 or 2010 WWE at all. Like, we've done the WrestleManias from those years, and we did SummerSlam 2010, and I think that's it for both those years. They're pretty forgettable years for this company.
I don't know that if you put me on the spot, I could tell you a single thing that happened in either of those 2 years. Like, they're just a void. Until the Nexus comes along, it's just an empty void from like 2007 until the Nexus.
So the second half of 2010 was built around the Nexus feuding with John Cena. But that's been blown off because at TLC, Cena beat Wade Barrett in a chairs match and literally buried him under a pile of chairs.
Yes, if you recall, they used to have the chairs hanging from the rafters, and he pulled down one of the strings of chairs, and what seems like it could have been pretty dangerous, actually.
Yeah. Wade Barrett has a pretty messed up back these days. Yeah, I have to wonder if that contributed to it.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that feud, except they rebooted it, as we'll mention in a second. The WWE champion is The Miz. He cashed in Money in the Bank on Randy Orton on the November 22nd episode of Raw. I don't know how long they were thinking he was going to be the champion, but Miz went on a media tour after he became the champion. And it seems like the company was very impressed with him, and I think they might have ended up extending his title reign because of it.
I will forever go to bat for The Miz for one singular reason. Like, you can say that some people are like self-made stars, but like, I can't think of a self-made main eventer on his level, like maybe ever, where he got his foot in the door of the main event barely. He was probably supposed to lose it back here at the Royal Rumble to Orton. Instead, when you tell he went on a media tour, he gets his foot in the door of all of these talk shows because he had previously been on The Real World. And the story of the Real World guy who said he'd be WWE champion now finally is. He goes on all these shows and he crushes it. He's so charming and funny. He represents the company well. The segments are all viral and they go all over the place. Like, I can't think of another person who's hit their opportunity out of the park like this.
Yeah, just perfect timing. A time where the company is very cold, where they're desperate for any kind of mainstream exposure. And they've just sort of grasped that there's this whole internet and social media thing out there and that they should be trying to do that. And they get somebody who actually can do it well.
And yeah, so it's unfortunate. I wonder how things could have been different if this didn't happen to be this particular year. Like, if this had happened in 2010 instead of 2011, I think Miz has a decent chance of staying in the main event and really being something. The problem is that this is the year that The Rock comes back.
It's insane that he ends up in the middle of Cena and Rock, although he really holds his own until the bell has to ring.
But that's the funny part, is that the fact that he holds his own at all with the two arguably biggest stars ever is pretty crazy and should have gotten him a better chance. It's just that he lays minutes into the Mania match and lays an egg.
So Miz is defending the title against Orton tonight. Really, it's basically redoing that time Chris Jericho had to defend the title against The Rock, and Rock was totally looking past him at the Royal Rumble. Same story. They do
the very thing where all top guys who are in the Rumble come out and individually cut promos on Orton, like, I'm going to beat you for the belt at WrestleMania. Like, all of them look past The Miz on purpose, and they're all just like, you? No. Orton, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, you're obviously not going to be the champion at WrestleMania. Don't be ridiculous. The really big storyline development is that CM Punk was revealed to be the leader of the Nexus. And I can't remember for sure, was he behind it all along?
The implication is that they never explicitly say that he was behind the Wade Barrett Nexus all along. Though they should have made that absolutely clear, because he was one of the judges on that season. To say, like, I was coaching them from the background.
Wasn't he on commentary when they did the initial attack?
Absolutely he was,
did he get taken out, or did he just run away?
He ran away. He wasn't one of the ones who got taken out.
Cena spilled his Pepsi.
The crux of this being that Cena spilled his fucking Pepsi one time while he was on commentary, and that made him loathe Cena so much that he developed the whole Nexus storyline to kill him, is so funny.
Man, this is forgotten. This was an incredible segment. I was so hyped when they did this.
This is like a top 10 segment for me in WWE all time. And I know nobody fucking remembers it at all. But this moment where Cena gets murdered by the Nexus. Literally murdered. And Punk just like walks into the ring and sits on a chair and slowly puts the armband on as the fans figure it out.
It's me, John. I was the author of All Your Pain.
God, that's so good.
And like, I'm sure for Punk, because of how his brain works, I'm sure he's like, oh, and we can like lay waste to this company. This is going to be my big revenge because I got screwed out of the title and all these other things. Doesn't really go anywhere. Ends up being a joke. I mean, this is a bad stable to be the leader of. Like, the new Nexus is Punk, Michael McGillicuddy, Curtis Axel, David Otunga, Mason Ryan, Husky Harris, the future Bray Wyatt, and who's the other guy? Gabriel's not in there. There's another guy, and I'm forgetting him.
No, I think it's just them.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it's just them.
Anyway, it's a terrible stable.
Yeah, it's not good. You can see what they were thinking. Like, Mason Ryan visually really works, but he can't. He's the greenest motherfucker who ever walked the face of the earth. The other guys are all jokes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Bray Wyatt had enormous amounts of talent, but he was not going anywhere as Husky Harris.
It's actually funny. During the Royal Rumble, Michael Cole says something like, if Husky Harris looks like this at 23, imagine what it'll look like at 30. I don't think any of us could have guessed what he would look like at 30.
Oh, well, 30, okay.
Yeah, that wasn't a death joke. That was he'd becoming the Fiend joke. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But this is not a good stable. And again, if this were 2010 and not 2011, Punk gets a WrestleMania main event out of this probably. And like, that would have been like imagine how happy he would be. He'd probably be happily retired now if he had gotten that moment. But again, Dwayne steps in.
And we've got the first ever 40-man Royal Rumble. Top names in there. We've got Cena, Punk, Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, The Big Show, Kane.
Boy, that star power really fell off quick.
Not the strongest Royal Rumble we've ever seen.
Again, there are 40 people in this Rumble. You would have to charitably say that like 20 of them should be in any Rumble.
And star power wise, the previous year they had those guys minus Del Rio. Del Rio wasn't with the company yet. But then they also had The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Batista, and Triple H.
And yeah, let's talk about this, because the actual Royal Rumble show, as we're going to get into, this is one of the best actual undercards for a Royal Rumble show of all time. This might be the only one, as we were discussing earlier, where the Rumble is actually the shitty part of the show, and the matches are great. There's so much star power on the undercard. We should have put some of these fuckers in the match.
Well, there's only three matches on the undercard. One of them's a women's match.
That's a fair point. But like, taking Randy and Edge out of this, that pretty much cuts your star power in half.
And, kind of major backstory at the time, backstage story at the time is Triple H is starting to get involved in the company's management. He's kind of been on sabbatical since the previous WrestleMania, just kind of learning the ropes, like, we're shadowing people, learning how the company's business works.
Yeah, at that point, we were all pretty certain that he was eventually going to become, like, the guy that he is today. Yeah. But boy, was it a way more twisted road than any of us ever expected.
Took a lot longer, and he got fired a lot more times than I expected.
Agreed.
All right, before we get to the Rumble, are you ready for the lightning round?
A 2011 lightning round. This could be anything. I have no idea.
Jeff Hardy pled guilty to drug charges. Now, this was pled down significantly because he was initially charged with drug trafficking, which would have carried a very long prison sentence. He ended up pleading guilty to just possession.
I remember when the story first broke.
It was wild.
And they had caught him driving across state lines with, like, pills. I don't even know what exactly it was.
When they raided his house, they found like thousands of Vicodin pills, a bunch of steroids. the quantity suggested he was trafficking, but no, that actually was all just for him. He just like bought his year's supply all at once.
Yeah. But like, when it was first suggested that it might be trafficking, we were all like, oh, he's gonna do prison time. Like, Jeff Hardy's going away.
Yeah. I don't even, he may have done a very small amount of jail time. I don't remember for sure, but this ended up being nothing really serious.
Yeah.
TNA Reaction was canceled.
Oh, Steve's favorite thing ever about TNA.
The only good thing they ever did.
Yeah.
John Cena injured his knee at a house show, but seemingly turned out to be fine.
I also remember, like, the fear around that.
I thought he'd, like, blown his knee out.
Because at this point, this promotion without Cena doesn't exist. There's nothing here.
They would have had to get Shawn to come out of retirement and do WrestleMania.
I honestly can't think of what the fuck they would have even done. Because if you look at that WrestleMania card, without the Rock, Miz, Cena stuff, there's nothing on that show.
Vince McMahon apparently decreed that Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania could not be set on TV. They could only say that Cena injured his knee at a show in Pennsylvania.
Is that because, like, doing
a small town, it's embarrassing that they
But it's a house show. Like, what do you mean?
They do. This was a weird Vince thing. They would do this sometimes. If they were in a town that he thought was too small, they wouldn't say the name of the city they were in. They would just say the state.
But, like, that's so silly. Nobody fucking... I don't even know how big a town Wilkes-Barre is.
Now, Vince McMahon is, to this day, a deeply insecure man.
That is true.
King Curtis Iakea passed away. Rest in peace to, I can't remember what that character was called in WCW. Was he just the Master?
Yes, the Master of the Dungeon of Doom.
Low-Ki was released from WWE.
This is one of those things that, like...
Of all.
This little run of his, he gets so over, and then kicks Dolph Ziggler flat in his fucking face in the middle of a pay-per-view match and knocks him out, and then is basically immediately gone from the company. Which is the Low-Ki story. Come in, do awesome shit, get super over, hurt somebody on purpose, get kicked out.
It was rumored that they would be doing a WCW theme for the Hall of Fame inductions this year, with WrestleMania being Atlanta. Names talked about for the induction included Goldberg, Ron Simmons, Arn Anderson, and Lex Luger. I don't believe any of those people ended up getting inducted this year. There was no WCW theme.
Did Nash go in this year?
Nope.
That doesn't even make sense because he's literally here. Like, I think that was only sparked by the fact that Booker and Nash come back here. And just like, well, of course they're doing a WCW theme then. But they're not.
Mason Ryan was said to be groomed to be their new Batista.
Like, here's the thing. You can't just go find a guy who visually looks the same as the old guy and expect it to be the same. They did this with The Rock for like 5 years. We're like, well, he looks kind of like The Rock. He'll be The Rock now. What the fuck do you mean he'll be The Rock now?
By the way, did you see The Last Showgirl?
No, I didn't.
Dave Bautista crushes it in that movie.
He's so fucking talented, man. It has been so wonderful over the course of this podcast to see the world's opinion of Dave Bautista go from, oh, he fucking sucked, to Dave Bautista's a god. Because, like, we figured that out on, like, one of the first years of our show, where we stumbled across the fact that actually Batista rules. And it's just wonderful to see the rest of the world follow suit.
Tough Enough was announced to be returning with Steve Austin as the host.
Easily the best season in that. Like, the fact that they didn't repeat it in exactly the same way from then on.
Crazy that they never had Austin do it again. They could do this today.
Also, like, didn't like 5 people from that season wind up becoming like long-term members of the company? Like,
oh no, did anyone pan out from that season?
I must be thinking about the one after that.
I think you're thinking of the one that had like Daniel Puder and Miz and Morrison.
No, I was thinking about, because one of them had like, I feel like it may have been the one after that or something like that. But like, there was another one that they did that had like a bunch of like successful people in the middle, and they're like, some of them are still there today, I feel like.
This one. Not really recognizing any of these names.
Okay, I might be totally wrong about that. I'm going to investigate and then bombard you with it in the middle of the show later on.
Yeah. Andy Levine won it. Was he the guy who had the brain tumor?
No, that was a Matt Capitelli from the Johnny Nitro season.
Oh.
No, he won it. He just sucked so bad they never used him.
There's a guy named Eric Watts on this one. Not that Eric Watts.
Not that Eric Watts, though.
That would have been funny if, 40-year-old Eric Watts was still learning how to wrestle.
That would be extremely funny. Okay, yeah.
Did a release.
It's the next one. Yeah. Because the next one has Mandy Rose on it, has Chelsea Green on it, has Velveteen Dream on it.
Wow. This is the Jericho one?
Yeah,
I completely forgot about it. I'd never watched this one. It sounded so bad.
It has Raquel on it, Sonya Deville on it. This one had a ton of people who stuck around.
Oh, Cameron was on the Steve Austin season, because this is when she said her favorite match was...
The match that they had taken her to see that day?
Yes.
He was like, have you never seen a wrestling match before? And he was like,
Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Satoshi Kojima to win the IWGP title in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom.
God, that was a good Okay, so...
That one had Jeff Hardy on it.
Satoshi Kojima was actually not a member of the roster, so they did an invasion thing where he single-handedly invaded, won the belt, refused to defend it in New Japan, made Tanahashi come to him, cheated to beat him, and then finally deigned to put it on the line at Wrestle Kingdom. And then finally Tanahashi won it back.
Nick Gage turned himself in on bank robbery charges.
And his legend only grew.
Yeah. MDK all day. Dana White refused to let Brock Lesnar wrestle at WrestleMania. Vince McMahon then challenged Dana White to fight him in a shoot fight at WrestleMania instead.
Do you think there's any world in which Dana White would have said yes to that?
No, Dana White hates pro wrestling.
But also, even if it was a shoot fight, if you're Dana White, you can't lose to old Vince McMahon, right?
And I assume Dana White, has done martial arts training and stuff.
Yeah.
So I assume he'd be able to beat up Vince, but I don't know. Less confident than I am that Eric Bischoff would have knocked Vince out.
Eric Bischoff would have beat the fuck out of Vince McMahon.
Former Oklahoma running back Marcus Dupree announced he would be wrestling in his hometown of Philadelphia, Mississippi in February. He had previously wrestled for the USWA in the 1990s.
Where did he wrestle?
Memphis for Jerry Jarrett.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know this until I read about this in The Observer while I was doing the research for this one.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, Marcus Dupree, for people who aren't familiar, was this incredible phenom freshman running back at Oklahoma. He was maybe the greatest college football freshman running back in history, and then he totally just crashed and burned after that.
Yup.
And I assume Jim Ross got him into wrestling, because how else would he end up doing that?
Oh, an Oklahoma running back? That was his destiny.
And in another wrestling tie-in, I believe he's now caught up in that Brett Favre, Ted DiBiase welfare embezzlement scandal.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Another football wrestling tie-in that's absolutely horrifying.
Eric Bischoff and Jason Hervey sold a reality show to VH1 called Beverly Hills Fabulous, which was a reality show about a beauty salon in Beverly Hills.
Now, I can't say that I've ever seen that show, but I can tell you that I have seen the other show, the one about Scott Baio, and God, was
Scott Baio is 40 and single or whatever.
Listen, VH1 was cranking out some of the most horrifyingly trash shows of all time.
I Love New York. What was the Flavor Flav one?
Flavor of Love. Rock of Love was the one that I was obsessed with. I saw every episode of Rock of Love, and it's
VH1 was on a heater here, and honestly, so were Bischoff and Hervey.
Yeah, and let's be clear, these are horrible shows.
Terrible, but they get paid.
They tapped into something in the zeitgeist here because everybody was watching this garbage.
Vince McMahon sold $40 million worth of his WWE stock, which was almost exactly the amount him and Linda spent on her failed 2010 U.S. Senate campaign.
Yeah. Ooh, boy.
And finally, the hammer. Stand Up for WWE won Most Creative Social Media Campaign at the Mashable Awards.
What the fuck does any of that mean?
Do you remember Stand Up for WWE?
Yeah, of course I remember Stand Up and its fucking stupid bullshit.
I think that was just cover to try to make WWE more respectable while Linda was running for Senate.
Yeah, I definitively remember, like, so many of the spots revolving around Sheamus and then him being an active bully to everyone on the roster.
All right, to get into the show, it's Sunday, January the 30th, 2011. We're at the TD Waterhouse Arena in Boston, Massachusetts. Crowd of over 15,000 on hand. That's probably a sellout with the set.
Probably. It makes sense. It's a big set.
The show did 476,000 buys. That's actually up slightly from 462 the previous year. Pretty good to be up without Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn, and Batista.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell to attribute that to, because I don't know what it is on this show that was drawing people in. Maybe it was Miz. Maybe it was just having 2 title matches on here that were actually respectable. I don't know.
And on commentary, the wretched team of heel Michael Cole, Jerry the King Lawler, and Matt Striker.
When Cole opened his mouth at the beginning of this show and revealed that he was heel Cole, did you also just have wrench down in your seat like, no?
I'm just like, oh, it's going to be a long 3 hours as soon as I hear that tone.
It's heel Michael Cole, Matt Striker, and Jerry Lawler so checked out, I think he says 4 things the whole night.
The number of times either Cole or Striker cues him up for something and he just doesn't respond is staggering. Like, he's not even listening.
Yeah, Striker is queuing him up to, be insulted. He's just like, all right, this is some dumb shit I'm gonna say, and you're gonna cut me off and call me a dweeb. And he just doesn't. And then Cole jumps in and does it instead.
We've got Justin Roberts and Tony Chimmel as the ring announcers, and Josh Matthews handling backstage interviews.
Is this the last time that a Striker is on, commentary?
Yeah, I looked it up, and I think this was his last pay-per-view. I looked at Elimination Chamber. He's been demoted to backstage interviews. I think he's gone by the end of 2011.
When we get to it, we're going to crystallize and be able to tell you the exact moment he lost his job.
We open with a kind of... in the dark match, R-Truth defeated Kurt Hawkins.
Well...
One of those guys made it in the Rumble. I don't know if that was a qualifying match.
Yeah, but he doesn't exactly stay in for very long.
We get kind of a typical Royal Rumble opening promo about how, all these men will fight to go to WrestleMania. One of them will meet their destiny, et cetera, et cetera.
It's pretty lame comparatively. There's really not a lot of reason for any of these guys to win the Rumble. If you said coming into the Rumble, who's actually going to win it, I can't think of anybody else other than Cena coming in who even makes sense to win it.
I think people thought Del Rio was going to win it because you could just see they had the rocket strapped to him.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Opening match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Edge defends against Dolph Ziggler. Edge isn't going to be allowed to use the spear tonight due to a ruling from Vicky Guerrero. What I can't remember, and what didn't really become clear to me during the course of this, is she still bitter at Edge for cheating on her in 2008, or is she Dolph's sugar mama already here?
Both.
Okay. That's good continuity that she remembers something that happened in 2008.
Yeah, because hadn't Edge been out for a year and then he comes out as a triumphant babyface or something? Or is that later?
Yes. No, yeah. He tore his Achilles in 2009.
Yeah.
And he came back and wrestled Jericho at WrestleMania in 2010.
So now he's come back to SmackDown and Vicky's like, well, fuck you. You left after cheating on me, blah, 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 blah. It's a whole thing.
Glad she remembers that. There'll be another remarkable display of continuity later on this show that we'll talk about.
Yeah, so nobody's writing good stories, but at least they remember the old stories.
Good match, long, 20-plus minutes. Mostly they're just going through their typical stuff, but we set up for a pretty hot end in here.
I will say this, like, Ziggler's in an interesting spot here where, like, he really shines in these matches where he gets to wrestle other guys who are super over. Like,
he looks like such a megastar when he comes out here.
Yeah. Like, to the point where I think we have to fairly add him to the list of, like, the biggest missed opportunities this company ever had.
At this time where they have so little going for them, and just something about him Vince didn't get. Something about his personality, I think, didn't click.
It had to have been backstage, because what you see on the screen is, like, half Rick Rude, half Shawn Michaels, and it's, like, all you've ever wanted.
And, like, he's always been in great shape, but here, oh my God, his abs are ridiculous.
He doesn't even look like a human. Like, it doesn't make sense
how much do you think he weighs here? I always think about weight. Like, we think these guys are so heavy, but I look at him and he's so lean. I feel like he's got to weigh like 180 pounds.
Yeah, I'd say probably like 180. Like, he'd technically be a cruiserweight, but only because he's so shredded. Like, that's the crazy thing.
He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him.
And, like, in this match, which is like 20 minutes long, like, he goes for 20 straight minutes. Like, he might be the best athlete they have by far.
Towards the end, Edge sets up to do the spear, but he hesitates because he knows he's going to get disqualified and stripped of the title if he uses it. Ziggler goes for the zigzag, but Edge blocks it and he hits him with the execution, but Vicky breaks the count up. Vicky gets in Edge's face, and then Kelly runs down and beats her up for reasons I absolutely cannot remember.
I think they were half-assedly making her and Edge like not like a romantic item, but like a team.
But why? What do they have in common?
They both hate Vicky. I think Vicky was like doing similar stuff to Kelly at the time on SmackDown. If memory serves, of Diva storylines from a decade ago.
That distraction allows Ziggler to hit the zigzag, but Edge kicks out.
Could Dolph Ziggler's career have been salvaged if he had just figured out a finishing move that actually worked for him?
Why didn't he just inherit the super kick from Shawn Michaels?
Because the brief period when he did use it, it worked so well.
Like, he probably should have been the one to retire Shawn Michaels. And should have stolen the super kick. Or don't even give him the heat of retiring Shawn Michaels. After Shawn is retired, have him just start doing the super kick, being like, I'm the new Heartbreak Kid, I'm the new showstopper.
That's what I would do. And then, like, have Shawn, like, confront him one time, and he super kicks him, and there you go, get some heat.
Ziggler puts Edge in the sleeper hold. I don't know why he did. I don't know why. Why did he do the sleeper hold?
I don't know. Like,
is it to establish that he's devious because he has a degree in political science?
Like, everything they gave him just didn't quite work. I don't...
You know what his best move was? That DDT where he would jump like 15 feet in the air and DDT the guy.
He should have beaten guys with that.
I have no idea why that wasn't his finisher. That was way more impressive than the zigzag.
Yeah, the zigzag was okay, but it's not. It's a B finish, right? Like, that's a good
kind of finish that gives somebody in NXT when they're first learning to wrestle because you can't hurt anybody with it.
Yeah, that's like the 5 knuckle
overdrive. Yeah,
yeah, you can keep doing that, but it can't be the thing.
The ref gets bumped as Edge hits Ziggler with a jawbreaker to escape. As the ref and Vicky are both down, this gives Edge the opportunity to hit Ziggler with a spear, and he pretends like he's down too until the referee gets up. He gives the camera a little Eddie Guerrero look, and then he hits the execution and pins Ziggler.
Man, first of all, shout out to the execution, the reason for my name. We don't see it very often in the years after 2003, so it was nice to see it. Second of all, I did love that moment. And this is where heel Michael Cole was occasionally great. It's like him standing up behind the desk screaming, "That's not fair! Ref, get up! You've got to tell him! He can't do that!" Was actually genuinely great heel commentary.
Next up, For the WWE Championship, The Miz defends against Randy Orton. I don't know that I've ever seen a show open, and I'm sure I'm wrong about this. There's probably a show that opened with a world title match and then there was a Money in the Bank cash-in afterwards, but a show opening with back-to-back world title matches is pretty rare.
Yeah. Especially, like, these are quality main events. Yeah. Like, these aren't garbage. They're both, like, big up-and-coming future stars against major stars. Like, you don't get, and they both go 20 minutes. When's the last time you saw anything like this from a Royal Rumble?
Stryker says that the WWE title has changed hands 3 times in Boston.
Well, that's Steve not Austin.
That's not some Steve. Good.
That's not some Steve. Because I have no way of knowing that.
Steve Austin won it at WrestleMania 14. The Rock won it at King of the Ring 2000. And Edge won it at Survivor Series 2008. Subsequent to this, John Cena won it at Money in the Bank 2014. And Big E cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Bobby Lashley in 2021 in Boston.
5 title changes in Boston. That might be... I wonder what city has the most... Obviously, it's
probably New York City.
Let's say other than New York City. But, like, I do wonder after that, I guess Chicago, but I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, the first time the world title ever changed hands in Boston was 1998. But, yeah, they didn't get any of the old school the title changes in the old days. Most of them were at the Garden. And then, like, there was one in Baltimore and one in Philadelphia, I think.
Yeah. In fairness, though, there just weren't that many title changes in the old days.
Changed the thing that often.
There were 5 in 25 years.
Weirdly, we get very timely discussions of Bob Uecker and Donald Trump on commentary here. Rest in peace, Bob Uecker.
Yeah, I wish we could be rest in pieces. Never mind.
These two guys are both pretty methodical, so when you have them up against each other, it's going to be a little slow. It's a little like Randy Orton versus Triple H.
Yeah. And The Miz is still really figuring out his main event style. When you've only wrestled 8-minute matches your whole career and now you're suddenly in 20 minutes, you really kind of are a sink or swim with your moveset.
That's a lot of time to fill.
He's doing a pretty good job, but I don't know that he ever really develops like a 20-minute moveset necessarily.
Orton makes his comeback. He does his signature stomps where he stomps each limb. Miz tries to just take the title and walk away, but Orton cuts him off. He hits the hanging DDT, and he sets up for the RKO as the new Nexus comes out. That's Mason Ryan, Michael McGillicuddy, Husky Harris, and David Otunga. Orton manages to throw Alex Riley out onto all of them. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and then he hits Miz with the RKO. Great air by Riley on that.
That was fantastic. I didn't know he had it in him.
Looks like he's got the match won, but Punk shows up and hits him with the GTS, and Miz gets the pin.
All right, now, in storyline, what was the reason for him doing this?
This was payback for Orton costing him the World Heavyweight Championship at Unforgiven 2008 when he punted him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So 2008, when Orton was like legacy Orton.
Yeah.
When he was like the Viper, the horrible man.
Yeah.
And CM Punk was just a fresh new baby. Like, Punk is literally like, I'm ready to be the pettiest motherfucker who ever walked the earth. You knock over my Pepsi, we'll feud for months. You fucking kicked me 8 years ago,
cost him the world title. Again, I was really impressed they, remembered that, because one of the things you can kind of tell about Vince, he was not generally big on bringing up the past with storylines.
Historically, like, we've heard many times from interviews with guys where Vince says, like, they don't remember that. Like, when Edge tried to bring Gangrel back at that WrestleMania, Vince was like, no one remembers who that is.
I think it's, on some level, you can only have so much, with this style of wrestling where there's so many turns and everybody's feuding with everybody, there almost has to be a limit to continuity.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like a soap opera. You have to just understand that even if the show's been on the air for 40 years, people who are watching it now weren't watching it back then.
It's interesting because we live in a moment now where Triple H clearly feels that continuity is incredibly important, because every single person who's ever been involved with the Bloodline storyline remembers that and is still impacted by it to this day. Like on Raw, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both like cut promos basically completely about their time fighting the Bloodline and then their relationship with each other going back to when they were 14. Like Triple H is big on this. But as time goes on, are people 10 years from now still going to be mad at Roman Reigns? Yeah. Maybe.
Comic books, the other example of like, look, you can only have so much continuity.
Yeah, they cheat by rebooting. You can't do that in wrestling because they're real people.
Then Todd Grisham reads a statement from Cody Rhodes that he won't be able to compete tonight because Rey Mysterio smashed his face with his knee brace on SmackDown. This is the beginning of hideous masked Cody Rhodes.
If you told me in 2011 to pick somebody from this show who in 2025 would be the biggest star in all of wrestling, having come off main eventing the biggest WrestleMania of all time, I guess I would have said Dolph.
Mason Ryan?
No, I definitely wouldn't have said Mason Ryan. Like, I would have been stunned that it could be anybody on this show. I guess maybe Drew McIntyre I was really big on at the time.
Yeah.
Though I never thought that he would have been what he is now. Maybe Morrison? Like, I certainly wouldn't have gotten fucking dashing Cody Rhodes, who's about to be broken face crazy Cody Rhodes.
Then they do a thing where they ask the fans who they think is going to win the Rumble match. We hear Cena, Sheamus, Barrett, Big Show, Punk, Del Rio, Santino, Drew McIntyre, and Kofi.
I've always wondered how many of these they do, and if they like filter them to see if they can get like the names that they want. Because it can't, like, if you asked everybody in the arena, like 10,000 people will all say John Cena, or like nobody's gonna say Kofi Kingston and be serious about it.
No Rumble promos, unfortunately.
We do get a promo from Daniel Bryan,
of
which
all
was
things. That's
weird.
After this match.
Yeah, but it's just very odd.
We get a handicap match for the Divas Championship as Natalya defends against Lay Cool. But before the match starts, the anonymous Raw general manager buzzes in and says that this will instead be a fatal four-way match because he's tired of people complaining that he's unfair.
When you heard the bloop, 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 did your heart drop like mine did?
Yes! These things literally evoke, like, PTSD responses in me.
Oh, God. And then, okay, so, funnily enough, the shirt that they sold for the Royal Rumble that has, like, the matches on it had this on there as a fatal four-way. So you could have bought one of those, like, weeks beforehand and found out that this was a fatal four-way.
It's funny, because this reeked of, like, Vince changed his mind the day of the show, and they had to come up with a ridiculous explanation for it.
But nope, apparently this was always the plan. They just went with this convoluted setup for no reason.
Lots of talk on commentary about how fat Natalya is.
Dude, the whole thing is about how fat Natalya is. Like, guys...
Not fat, just thick.
Yeah, Natalya's in impossible shape. Let's be clear.
I mean, she is Jim Neidhart's daughter.
Like, she wide, but she thick.
Natalya manages to put both Eve and Layla in a sharpshooter, but Michelle breaks it up.
I wonder when the first time she did that was. Like, that obviously it becomes like her whole thing. It. Yeah.
And then Eve wins with a moonsault in 3 minutes, and she's the new champion.
They definitely had big plans for Eve.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because Eve was basically an identity.
Who might have had big plans for Eve?
Yeah, that's the thing.
What wretched company executive might have wanted Eve to get a push so he could spend some more time with her? I wonder. Like, I can't watch any women's match from this era and not think through these things because you know that's what was going through Vince's mind.
100%, yes.
It's like Eve's whole arc starts to make more sense in hindsight now, doesn't it?
And then she abruptly leaves the industry and never...
Gene Hosky.
Yeah, and then never looks back.
God. Cesspool.
Yeah.
Oh, God, speaking of weird shit, we see Daniel Bryan backstage with Gail Kim, and then the Bellas show up, and them and Gail start fighting over Bryan.
I want you guys to know, and really know in your soul, how close Daniel Bryan was to becoming Big Dick Lance Storm.
Yeah.
Like, Vince is
Early
literally...
virgin Daniel Bryan.
Vince is literally leaning down that way, like, oh, he's boring and he can go in the ring. All right, well, let's get him some charisma by making him a guy who fucks. Like, okay.
I mean, his gimmick for a while here was that he was a chick magnet, right?
Yes. But that's what they give to people who they're just like, isn't it funny that he's a chick magnet because he's such a fucking loser?
Look at this beta male.
Like, the fact that he ever got a chance to get over before Vince turned him into this is insane.
Did he, like, strategically avoid having chemistry with any of them? Him and AJ were actually great together.
He is hover-handing Gail Kim so hard. If you look, his hand is, like, 6 inches away from her waist.
Then they do the numbers package, and then a preview package, and it's time for the Royal Rumble match. Only 3 matches on the undercard.
This is your yearly reminder that Steve hates the by the numbers package.
Oh, I hate it. What a lame way to introduce this match.
The only thing that matters is our made-up stats.
Yeah. First entrant, CM Punk. I don't remember. The previous year was the one where he came out early, and every time he would throw somebody out, he would get the mic and he would talk more shit. That was awesome.
That was awesome. And here, obviously, he's about to have a hell of a Royal Rumble.
The Core come out and attack him. The Core is the Nexus, like, sequel stable with Wade Barrett, Heath Slater,
Justin Gabriel,
Big Zeke Jackson.
Yeah. So basically, it's all of the over members of the Nexus plus Big Zeke, except they immediately tank on SmackDown. Nobody cares.
The new Nexus guys hit the ring, and we have a brawl.
It is heatless because the fans don't care about either of these stables.
So what I thought was going to happen here when it was happening the first times, I thought like the general manager was going to buzz in and be like, okay, if you guys want to fight, like, you're all starting the Royal Rumble right now, and that would speed things up.
What a great way to start the 40-man if, like, the first 10 guys just immediately started the Rumble. That would have actually been very smart.
Instead, they send everyone except Punk to the back.
So this just wasted a bunch of time for no reason.
Yeah, sure did. Daniel Bryan's our number 2 entrant.
Thank God. Boy, was this a balm on my wounded soul at the time.
Number 3 is Justin Gabriel of the Core. He misses the 450 splash, and then Bryan throws him over the top rope.
It's deeply funny to have just had a heated brawl involving both Punk and Gabriel, and then when he gets in the ring, no sense that those two had just been viciously on opposite sides.
Number 4 is Zack Ryder. He's also gone in less than a minute, courtesy of Bryan.
They keep feeding Jerry Lawler to say something about him, and all he can say is, he's got the nasty boys tights.
Number 5 is William Regal, who I don't think of as still wrestling at this point.
Absolutely not. And, like, the crowd actually goes pretty nuts for William Regal here. That was pretty cool.
Number 6 is Ted DiBiase. Number 7 is John Morrison, who gets to do an awesome spot where he gets knocked off the apron, grabs onto the wall with his hands and his feet, climbs up on it, walks across it, and then jumps to the steps and gets back in the ring. So I think he invented the Kofi Kingston spot before Kofi. I don't know if Kofi had done this yet.
In a better world, this would have been John Morrison's thing, because his parkour shit, it makes total sense. Like, Kofi doing it never really made any sense. That was just like the Kofi thing.
This one was so cool.
This could have gone so wrong so many different ways, like grasping onto that, like, because it's like padded, the guardrails. Yeah. So like literally like he's like leaning down. God, that must have been hard to grab onto.
And pull yourself up.
And he makes it look so easy. He just pops straight up, casually leaps 8 feet to the steps, hops back in.
8 is Yoshitatsu. 9 is Husky Harris. 10 is Chavo Guerrero.
Oh.
11 is Mark Henry. He throws out Chavo and Yoshi. 12 is JTG of Crime Time. 13 is Michael McGillicuddy. So that's 3 members of the Nexus.
Uh-huh.
They start to take over. McGillicuddy eliminates JTG. Him and Harris backdrop DiBiase over the top. This is the beginning of the genesis of McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
Chris Masters is number 14. 15 is David Otunga. So now we've got 4 members of the Nexus out there. And then they gang up and eliminate everybody. They throw out Brian, Masters, Morrison, and Henry.
Did you know that this was secretly actually a 3-brand edition of the Royal Rumble? Because the last 3 people in it, JTG, Chris Masters, and the next one, Tyler Rex, had only appeared on Superstars for the previous 6 months.
Yeah, this is where they kind of create... Superstars had kind of become its own thing at this point.
Yeah, Chris Masters and Tyler Rex were weekly having the most incredible matches, and that made no sense because they both should not be that good.
So we've got Punk, McGillicuddy, Harris, and Otunga just hanging out waiting for the next person to come out.
Now, in the future, this whole spot will be done better with the Brock Lesnar version because that's one of the funnest things ever because he has so much fun with it and it goes on for longer. But like this, up to this point, might be the most clever use of time ever in a Royal Rumble.
Shocking. I don't think this had ever happened before. And yeah, the only time they've done it since, I guess, was when Brock did it. I don't think we've had a group just like run the Rumble since then.
Doesn't it seem like that's... Obviously, there was no reason for Roman to ever be in the Royal Rumble when he was with the Bloodline. But man, the Bloodline could have done this like crazy.
Tyler Rex is out number 16. He lasts 30 seconds before being thrown out.
Our trans star Tyler Rex.
Then Vladimir Kozlov comes out, gets eliminated. R-Truth comes out, gets eliminated.
All of these guys sprint to the ring, take a massive ass whooping, and immediately get thrown out.
That's one thing I noticed. They clearly coached these guys. They had to run to the ring to save time.
Yeah.
Because this match, despite having an extra 10 entrants, doesn't really go any longer than a typical Rumble.
I think this match has to have the most people that will last less than 2 minutes. Because I think it's like at least 12 people don't last 2 minutes in this thing. Let me go through it. Like, 1, 2... Yeah, it looks like 13 people get 2 minutes or less.
Great Khali comes out next. That's great use of him.
And Punk is selling this shit. Like, he's selling his exhaustion. And then when Khali comes out, he's like, no. And he starts putting the guys in front of him.
Khali manages to eliminate Harris. And he lasts the 2 minutes. Good for you, Khali. But then it turns out Mason Ryan is number 20.
The big Mace.
Yeah. The only pop Mason Ryan's ever gotten.
Oh, man.
So they gang up on Khali and throw him out. We need a hero. Who could come to save us? Number 21 is a returning Booker T.
This is such a brilliant way to construct this. Like, I know Pat Patterson's not the guy doing this anymore, but whoever put this together did it great. Because they give you, like, 3 duds in a row. You know they're not going to do shit. You give them the brief hope with Khali, which is dashed by putting another member of the stable in. Then we get the false hero in Booker T that gets people excited, but it's not him. And then the real hero is the next guy out. That's just flawless construction.
Like, Booker gets to do some of his signature stuff. He does the side kick, the axe kick, the bookend.
Yeah.
But then he gets thrown out.
But then, who is that we see on the horizon? Burr, burr, burr.
Well, LOL, Cena wins.
He
runs through the Nexus guys and eliminates them all himself.
In like 30 seconds. Immediately eliminates all of them.
Couldn't he have just lasted the 2 minutes and then somebody come out to help him and they could do it together?
Well, no, because that would ruin the next spot, which is it's just Punk and Cena in there, and then here comes Hornswoggle,
who gets the shit clotheslined out of him by Punk.
My favorite part of this is, like, all throughout the time that the Nexus guys are teaming up to eliminate people, Lawler, the only time he wakes up this whole show is to scream about how this is not what the Rumble is supposed to be. It's supposed to be any man for himself. This is a vicious mockery of the Royal Rumble. And then when Cena and Hornswoggle do it, like a minute later, he's back asleep, so he makes no reference of it.
Cena then AA's Punk over the top to the floor, so Punk is out.
I really think Punk should have stayed until the end.
Yeah, this one didn't have enough going for it.
Yeah.
24 is Tyson Kidd, who gets hit with a flying head scissor by Hornswoggle.
And then Cena puts him on Hornswoggle's shoulders, and he gets AA'd by Hornswoggle.
That dude is strong for his size.
Yeah. But poor Tyson Kidd, the only guy on the roster short enough to get AA'd by Hornswoggle.
25 is Heath Slater, who gets beaten up and thrown out.
Ugh.
He's got kids to feed. Didn't get a lot of prize money for this one.
Sure didn't.
26 is Kofi Kingston. 27 is Jack Swagger. 28 is Sheamus. He gets to bro kick Hornswoggle off the top rope to eliminate him.
That was pretty funny.
Holy crap. That's a drop for the little guy.
This is like a 10-man run from Kofi Kingston to Dolph Ziggler. That is just a bunch of mid-card guys who are not over. They should be. They're all super talented and young and great. They are not over.
29 is Rey Mysterio. He gets to eliminate Swagger with the 619. 30 is Wade Barrett. 31 is Dolph Ziggler doing double duty tonight. And then we get to the big reveal. Number 32 is Big Daddy Cool Diesel. It's not Kevin Nash, it's Diesel.
This is maybe the happiest I've ever seen to have a legend come back in the Rumble. If it had just been Kevin Nash, I would have been like, that's pretty cool. But to have Diesel back and all these other people cheering, fuck you guys, you weren't there. You weren't there rooting on Diesel in the old days when nobody cared. That was for me.
Man, this pop is unbelievable.
And that's the funny thing. How many people do you genuinely think remember Diesel here in 2011? But apparently it was a lot, because the pop is immediate from the sound of his music, which is the wild part.
I wonder if anybody thought it was Steve Austin.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like that at first.
So he comes out, puts the black glove on, throws the fist up, and he heads to the ring and proceeds to whoop some ass.
The best thing is, Kevin Nash, upper body-wise and face-wise, never stopped looking like a megastar. Oh. It's just that he doesn't have the knees to really do it anymore. Yeah. Everything he does in the ring, he does while holding the top rope.
33 is Drew McIntyre, and 34 is Alex Riley, and Barrett eliminates Diesel with a big boot. It was fun while it lasted.
I mean, he literally couldn't do much. Like,
I don't think he should have stayed in much longer than this.
But funnily enough, this isn't the last time we're going to see him this year.
Oh no, he's going to work a main event program this year and have a ladder match with Triple H at TLC.
That's what we all would have assumed, right? After watching this performance where he couldn't move around the ring.
Number 35 is Big Show. Him and Diesel have a little stare down in the aisle.
That could have been interesting. Nothing comes of that. Instead, Big Show will immediately be dumped by the next guy.
Big Show does get to eliminate Ziggler. And then, I think Alex Riley was accidentally eliminated here.
Yeah, he was accidentally eliminated while an entrance was going on, so we don't even see it.
No, and I think they just don't ever mention it.
I think they mentioned that, I think he was eliminated, but I think that's a couple minutes later.
To say something about how Alex Riley's being smart, and then he doesn't finish his sentence because I think Vince told him to shut up.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this is a rare accidental Royal Rumble elimination. I'm trying to think of some other ones. You had the Cena Batista thing. Steve Austin was accidentally eliminated for his first Royal Rumble. He slipped and fell out of the ring.
It's funny that like you'd think it would happen more often, honestly.
With the crazy shit guys do now, where they're hanging on the top rope by one hand.
Yeah, these days, literally, like every Royal Rumble match ends on the apron with people like doing moves to each other. It's stunning nobody's dropped somebody.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other ones. There was the Rock Big Show thing where Rock didn't pull himself up in time.
Yeah.
The Shawn Michaels one, I don't know if either of his feet were supposed to touch, but at least one of them did, and I think they both might have.
It is funny that canonically like changed the future of the Rumble. That 1 foot touch, but both feet have to touch the floor.
Oh. Ezekiel Jackson is number 36 as McIntyre is eliminated, and then Zeke eliminates Big Show.
Like, really anticlimactically. Like, boy, we're just jobbing out Big Show, huh?
37 is Santino.
You wouldn't think that was relevant at all, but surprisingly, it turns out it will be.
38, Alberto Del Rio. He takes so long to get to the ring that Randy Orton enters 39 and attacks him before he gets in the ring.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Orton hits lots of RKOs. He throws out Kofi and Sheamus. Then him and Cena bump into each other and they do the Hogan Warrior spot and no one reacts.
This spot has literally never failed them, ever. You get two big megastars with big history that have never really matched up in a way that would be satisfying, and you have them turn and look at each other, and every single other time they've ever done this, whether it was Austin Rock or Warrior Hogan or any other time, this is a guaranteed mega pop, and it is silent. No one reacts to this in any way, shape, or form. And literally, everything Cena did in this match was over. Everything Orton did in this match was over. The only thing that people care nothing about is the idea of these two fighting. But the whole match is built up to that moment. Oh my God. And then, of course, in future years, they'll just do it anyway. Even though the crowd is very clear they're not interested.
Number 40. Kane!
Yeah, Orton and Cena don't even lock up because before they can, here comes Kane.
So we've got Kane, Cena, Orton, Ezekiel, Ray, Barrett, and Del Rio. Kane ducks under Zeke and he tumbles over the top to be eliminated. Ray gets Kane with a Hurricane Rana to eliminate him, and then Barrett knocks Ray off the apron. So we've got Cena, Orton, Del Rio, and Barrett left. Cena hits Del Rio with the AA. Riley comes back and distracts Cena, which allows Miz to come off commentary and sneak in and throw Cena over the top rope to eliminate him.
The stipulation that people not in the match are allowed to eliminate people in the match is so good and so underutilized. I love it so much.
How many times has that happened? I feel like it's happened like twice. Lesnar did it to Goldberg. It happened here.
Didn't Angle do it to somebody one time?
Angle came back in to eliminate Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Shane eliminated somebody one time, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Can't think of who it was. Orton beats up Del Rio and Barrett. Orton throws out Barrett, but then Del Rio sneaks up on Orton for the elimination. It appears Del Rio's won. The bell rings, his music plays, Ricardo makes the announcement, but then it turns out Santino was never eliminated.
The way they do this is genius, because the announcers don't know that it's happening. They're just talking about how Del Rio won. But you slowly in the background see Santino crawl out from under the ring, and then you see like 40 refs go and start pointing at Santino and talking to the ref in the ring. And the ref keeps trying to get Del Rio's attention, but Del Rio won't turn around because he's just posing. Meanwhile, Santino gets in the ring, realizes what's going on, crosses himself, sets up the Cobra, and the crowd starts going insane.
So Santino actually manages to get the advantage, but Del Rio reverses and throws him over the top rope and eliminates him, and Del Rio wins.
Obviously, this was just like a little spot that was meant to give us false hope, whatever. But I think it has conjured one of the more interesting what ifs in like wrestling history.
What if Santino had won?
Because it doesn't matter who goes to WrestleMania this year. Nothing on that card means anything except Cena Rock. It just doesn't.
True.
Like, you could have just had it be Santino, right? Or go to Elimination Chamber and have Del Rio brutalize him to get the shot back. Whatever. But, like, what a moment that would have been, right?
One time, should they have somebody totally random win the Royal Rumble?
Yes. And, like, there never would have been a better year than this one. They've added 10 extra guys. It feels fluky. Like, it's a total accident that he went. Just so they can always come back and say, well, one time it did happen.
All right. On the whole, I'd say one of the weaker Rumble matches.
This is like a bottom 5 Rumble for me. And like, I think I've said that like more than 5 times, but
surely
I don't like this Rumble. It doesn't last as long as you think that it would, but like from the moment Punk's eliminated, there's nothing left in this match that's worth a fuck. Like, nobody cares. The crowd checks out the second that like Punk is gone. They're with Cena. When Cena's eliminated, they just stop caring altogether because they don't care about Orton. And I don't know, man. This is just not the 2 title matches on this show are so good, and I recommend going to watch both of them because I love them a lot. Like, the Orton Miz match isn't incredible, but it has a great finish. And this fucking Rumble, man, it just drags.
Yeah. And the show as a whole, I mean, I liked both those title matches, and the women's match was really nothing, but it was 3 minutes long anyway.
Like, I'm glad we covered this, even though the reason that we did it was based on a lie that we were wrong about.
Yeah.
Because it is like a touchstone in history, and they certainly never did it again, aside from the Saudi Arabian one, and you can see why. But they might have the roster for this now.
Yeah, if they did it today, they could actually probably make it work.
What if they did a World War III and integrated the women?
Oh my God, World War III. How have as they start to run out of things to do in Saudi Arabia, World War III. AEW should do World War III if WWE won't.
Fuck yeah! Throw it in a cage, 2 rings, double battle royal at the same time. Have the men in one and the women in the other, and just have it going, baby.
2 rings and a cage battle royal, you say?
Let's fucking do this thing, man.
All right. Twitter questions. Junkyard GR asks, should Maven be in the Royal Rumble this year as a surprise and dropkick Drew McIntyre over the top rope?
I was gonna say like, who would remember Maven? But actually, I guess his YouTube channel is extremely popular now, so maybe this is the time for Maven to come back.
And Drew probably would be the perfect person for that to happen too.
It's just funny, like, a lot of the current audience would not remember the dropkick that he did to The Undertaker way back when.
But the spot works on its own.
Yeah, the spot works on its own. I think it's great. And then just Drew murders him in the same way The Undertaker did. That'd be very funny.
Smashes his head through the popcorn machine and eats some popcorn.
Fuck yeah, that's the coolest thing a Taker ever did.
AJ Jones asks, with the lack of star power in this Rumble compared to previous years, and the company doing the 40 participants change here, what change would you have made to the Rumble instead of the 40 participants? That's an interesting question. Anything else we could think of? Well, how could you have shaken this one up?
I'm going to be honest. Like, for me, if you're giving me complete control over this.
You could have had the world champions participate, say that they get to choose their opponent if they win.
I think I would have made this a 20-man Royal Rumble and filled up the undercard, because this is an amazing undercard if you've like put a couple more really good matches on it. This is a great pay-per-view. And I'm not joking when I say I would have had Santino win it. Like, I think the ability to say that, like, the underdog won this one particular one where it genuinely doesn't fucking matter who wins this one. The real main event is already set in stone. That's what I would have changed. I think we would remember it better.
All right. Have we got to stump Steve?
We so do, baby. All right. So Alberto Del Rio won this event on his first ever try in the Royal Rumble.
Sure did.
10 other times in Royal Rumble history has someone won it in their first ever Royal Rumble.
Fuck you.
Can you tell me which 10 times those were?
Okay. The first ever. Well, okay. Are we counting house show Royal Rumbles?
I did not. So Big John Studd does count. I'll just go ahead and give you that one.
Well, no. One Man Gang won the first Royal Rumble, which was at a house show. It was a practice for the 88 one.
I'm just considering the pay-per-view ones, so we'll call Big John Studd number 1.
Well, Duggan is number 1.
Studd
is 2.
That's right. Okay. So actually there are 11. So both Studd and Duggan are in there.
3, Hogan won it in 90.
But that's not on the list, buddy, because he was in the Big John Studd one.
89. I forgot about that.
That's what trips you up with these, man. I had to do deep research on this.
Hogan wins 90 and 91. 92 was won by Ric Flair. That was his first Rumble.
Correct.
93, Yokozuna. That was his first Rumble.
Correct.
94 was won by... co-won by Bret Hart and Lex Luger. That was Luger's first Rumble.
That's correct. No one ever thinks about Luger for that one, but he was his first.
95, Shawn Michaels. 96, Shawn Michaels. Both those were not his first Rumble. 97, Steve Austin wasn't his first Rumble. 98, Steve Austin. 99, Vince McMahon, his first Rumble.
His first Rumble.
2000 was The Rock. It wasn't his first Rumble. 2001, Austin again. 2002 was Triple H. It wasn't his first Rumble. Right?
That's correct.
Okay, he had been in a Rumble before, right?
Yes. As Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he had been in a couple.
I was going to say, maybe one.
Yeah.
You're 100% sure he'd been in a Rumble?
Yes, he had.
Okay, 96 probably.
Yeah, I promise. Don't worry.
Okay. 2003, Brock. That was his first Rumble.
Correct.
2004, Benoit.
Gotta say yes or no.
I'm thinking about it. The previous year he had wrestled Angle at the Rumble. 2002 he was injured. 2001, no, Benoit had never been in a Rumble before.
That is correct. That is the hardest one, I think.
That is a tough one.
Now I'm going to tell you now, there isn't another one until the 2010s.
Okay, we're jumping forward a little.
We can jump forward a little.
Okay, this one, of course, was Del Rio, but it's I have to name all the other ones, right?
Yes, correct. There's only 3 more.
2010 was Edge. It can't have been his first Rumble.
Nope.
12, Sheamus. It wasn't his first one. 13, John Cena. 14, Roman Reigns. It wasn't his first. No, 15 is Roman Reigns. 14 was Batista. 15, Roman Reigns. It wasn't his first Rumble. 16, Triple H. 17.
Yeah, it gets hard to remember them as we get further on.
In San Antonio, Randy Orton.
Correct.
18. Fuck me.
I will tell you, this is the first.
Shinsuke, his first Rumble.
That's correct.
Shinsuke won a Rumble. That's wild.
But is that all?
Oh, there's also the first Women's Rumble that year, is there not?
There is correct. Do you know who won it?
No. Let me think.
It was such a hopeful time for us, Steve. A beautiful moment.
Ronda Rousey debuted. Asuka.
Asuka.
Nope. Ready for Asuka.
That's correct. There's only one more left.
There's only one more.
Yep.
How is that possible? Oh, because of the subsequent women had all been in it before. Well, maybe not. I'll think more about it. 19. God, what WrestleMania is that? 19 Seth. He has to have been in Rumbles before.
Oh, yeah.
20.
Well, hold on. 20. Who's the other one who won that year?
I don't know. Charlotte?
I think it is. Hold on. I gotta look it up.
But I don't think she was in the Rumble the previous year because I think she was one of the champions.
I don't think that she's the one who won 2019. No, Becky won 2019.
Yeah,
she had been in the previous
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2020, Drew. He had been in the Rumble before. Right. 2021.
And Charlotte was the other winner, but obviously she was in the one the year before.
2021, Thunderdome.
Maybe the most shocking winner of all time.
It was Edge?
It was Edge.
Well, that wasn't really shocking because he had returned the previous year.
It's still pretty shocking that he won the Rumble, but... All right. And I will tell you that the Women's Rumble was won by Bianca Belair. Now, do you think that was her first one?
Well, I got to think about the other men first. 22... Oh, God. What ended up happening here?
I have no memory of this. Yeah, it was Brock.
Brock, he lost the title earlier in the night, hadn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, that wasn't his first Rumble. Don't ask me who won. The women that year.
Actually, Ronda won that one.
And I'm going to say that was her first Royal Rumble.
That is correct, Steve. You have gotten all 11. Ronda Rousey was the last one on her first Rumble to win.
Wow. That was insane.
Yep.
All right. Next time, we're finally going to do something we've been talking about for years.
We're going to put on our boots and our long johns and our T-shirts and our clothes and our overcoats and our big hats and our knee socks.
Me and Cuse are finally going to settle our differences with an old-fashioned bunkhouse brawl.
My God, we're finally doing the bunkhouse stampede, boys and girls. Saddle up.
You know what? I didn't even check to make sure this is on Peacock.
We should probably find out.
I mean, I would not be offended or surprised if it wasn't, but I think it is.
We'll be watching this in some kind of grainy footage at Jim Cornette's house if we need to, but my fucking God, we're going to do the bunkhouse.
The bunkhouse stampede featuring a 20-man, 2-ring, steel cage battle royal where you have to throw them out of the cage.
That's correct, yeah. And have you ever wanted to watch a pay-per-view where every match is 20 minutes long? Every single one? Because here we are, baby!
Yeah, what do we got here? We got Hawk versus Ric Flair, Larry Zbyszko versus Barry Windham for the Western States Heavyweight Championship, and Nikita Koloff versus Bobby Eaton for the TV title.
And this bunkhouse stampede, what could make it better? Why, I don't know. Maybe it will be the only non-WWE appearance of the Warlord in the history of this show.
Warlord. It's only an 8-man battle royal. I thought it was 20 guys. Probably better that it's only 8. 20 would have been a lot.
It's an 8-man battle royal, and like at least 3 of these 8 men don't need to be here.
Thank you for indulging our stupidity, everyone. We just have to do it.
It's going to be so fucking stupid, but when Steve's asked me, like, oh, hey, you know what happened this month? The bunkhouse stampede. Should we cover it?
Bunkhouse.
My mouth started just slathering with saliva as I drooled over thinking about how dumb this is going to be. So, hell yes, we're going to interrupt Royal Rumble season to do the bunkhouse stampede.
So, yeah, we'll have all that and more next time on the Lawcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next time.